Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun, as always, my brother in podcasting, Reed.
Hey.
Today, we've got skin suits, we've got...
bad tattoos.
We've got apple pie.
We've got, apples in April.
We've got America the way it used to be. Great again.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I mean, kind of, but oh, no.
I mean, that's what you're looking for. That's how you get it. That's how you really get wind.
And we've got the old gods.
That's right, not the new gods. Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here, Mr. Miracle.
Yeah. We got the old gods. That's right, Gaiman. We've got the old gods. All right, let's get into it.
Ghostfacers! We visit ghosts, we're others, we're not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We visit nightmare, we visit dread! Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We visit faceless, we visit dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today, we're discussing episode number 11. Scarecrow.
Yeah. This is the episode where Batman shows up.
Oh, I was going to say, this is finally where they get a brain.
Oh.
Isn't that sweet? That's what I'm here for, the sweet jokes.
Yeah, we went to very different scarecrows.
But before we talk about today's episode, we've got a review.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, a good
Love
review.
It. Amazing.
Not like the ones we talk about on Twitter. We got a review from Alalance via Apple Podcasts America.
Nice.
USA. Their review subject is the podcast so far.
Ooh, oh yeah.
But also they're like, yeah, they could get really bad.
Carry on
my word podcast.
pod. There'll be pod when you are cast.
God, it's almost like that's the way it should have been written. It's so seamless. They go on to say, only on episode 3, but already love this podcast and all the inside information. A bunch of interesting facts I was not aware of, and the guys are funny as well, as clearly fans. So far, my favorite supernatural podcast. Canadian accents, an extra win? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, eh?
Yeah, what accents you talking about? I should just fucking Jersey it. Feed you the old right left, eh?
Yeah. Color.
Well, we'll go out for a rip in the Impala. Oh man. Could we be cast in a Canadian supernatural spin-off?
We're nowhere near attractive enough.
Could we be Canadian hunters?
I mean, they've shown...
I am rock hard thinking about this.
I mean, you just have Dean up on your screen.
Yeah. We just drive around in like an old beat up truck.
Yeah. I like that. That'd be good.
Be like, how many kilometers until we're there? Just emphasize how Canadian it is at every turn.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, we need a few milliliters of your blood.
Oh, this must be Canadian. Wow.
Oh, it's cold out there. It's 10 degrees Celsius. just doing, just pointing out differences.
That's like all of those like 80s shows that are like now, like shows that are set in the 80s and 90s.
Right, yeah.
And it's just like, Kevin Smith was at the Blockbuster. And...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Really winking at it.
Yeah.
I like this idea. This is good.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for the review. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. We love those. We definitely want to keep getting those reviews.
Yeah.
This episode aired January 10th, 2006.
Right.
So now we're in the new year.
New year, new us.
That's right. Story by Patrick Sean Smith. Teleplay by John Shiban. We've heard a lot of his name throughout this. Directed by Kim Manners. Another Kim Manners episode.
Nice. Awesome.
Viewed by, we're getting a drop here, an estimated 4.23 million
I'd be
viewers.
curious to know if that's always sort of true of like just coming back after the break. If people are still like in Christmas mode or like they're not back in the routines of like work and their shows and stuff like that. I'd be curious if that's thing they would expect, or they were like, oh fuck, like
maybe. Well, I mean, we'll judge it by the next episode. Maybe it's going to drop even further. Who knows?
Oh, no.
Wow. So,
like I'm worried. Like, what if the show doesn't make it?
I mean, they could possibly
if their
have
viewership drops, what if they can't make 14 more seasons?
Well, there's no way they'd have that much content. As I always like to do, I like to talk about some international titles for each
This is a
episode.
little segment that I've really grown to enjoy.
Except for all international titles were just Scarecrow for this episode.
Were they really?
Yeah, just every single one was...
There wasn't like Insane Straw Man or something in Bulgaria or
I was really hoping for, but no, they were all just Scarecrow. Apparently everybody has a Scarecrow.
Well, then never mind. I take it back. It's a bad segment.
Yeah, it's a bad episode. Let's not do it.
Yeah, I think let's call it.
Seems like the best way to move forward. Well, TV Guide describes this episode as a town harbors a dark secret involving a malevolent scarecrow, which Dean investigates. Meanwhile, Sam believes he may be able to find their father somewhere in California.
Here we go.
Usually I don't bring in some background information this quickly, but there's already some background information on this episode I need to bring up.
All right, let's do it.
1. The plot of this episode has similarities to the 1973 film The Wicker Man and its 2006 remake.
Right.
As well, the plot is heavily reminiscent of Neil Gaiman's novel American Gods. Show creator Eric Kripke has cited Neil Gaiman and American Gods as influences for the show.
Nice.
Kinda
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, before we go down to Dad's Journal, we got some featured music.
Okay.
Like we do. We got Lodi by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Right.
Little CCR in there, of course. Bad Company by Bad Company.
Sure.
And Puppet by Coal Pits.
Oh. Cool.
Pits.
Cold pits.
Yeah, I was out...
Sorry, is it cold pits or coal pits?
Like the subsidiary...
Like a canary in a cold mine or a canary in a coal mine?
Like the subsidiary of Indigo and Chapters. Coal Pits.
Coal pits. Like C-O-L-E.
Yeah.
Like the name.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah. If it was Cold Pits, I really think they could have gone somewhere. It's just, it's just bad. So, before getting into our thoughts on today's episode, let's open up Dad's Journal and learn some of the real-world lore about today's monster.
Yeah, let's see what the lore says about Vanir.
Vanier?
It's so close. It's only one letter off from my last name, so watch the fuck out. So the Vanir are a group of like health and fertility gods. They're part of like Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Some of them were also known for like wisdom and ability to see the future. One of the 9 realms, if you've been watching Marvel movies or things like that.
Yeah.
One of the 9 realms is Vanaheim. That is the place where
California?
the Vanir are from. Yeah. Yeah, the Vanaheim Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
Vanaheim is where the Vanir are from. They're one of the 9 realms of the world tree. So the word Vanir itself is rarely, though, if at all, seen outside of like Scandinavia. Technically, the word doesn't really mean anything in particular. It's very vague as a descriptor because the Vanir are vaguely gods, but also different from the Aesir, who are like the proper Norse gods.
Okay.
Like the Aesir include like Thor and stuff like that. The Vanir include, like a notable Vanir would be Freya, who's a Norse god of like love and sex and fertility and beauty and stuff like that.
So you're like a not known Vanier.
Some people, some people think that maybe Heimdallir, as in Heimdall, might be a Vanir because he has the gift of foresight and things like that. That's typically something associated with the Vanir.
I wish I had that. I wouldn't have done this podcast.
But there's no explicit references to Heimdall being a Vanir. In fact, there's very few references to being a Vanir at all. It's theorized that the Vanir, the reason that it's kind of vague like that, they might represent like Proto-Indo-European or like old Germanic deities encountered by the Norse. So they were sort of like absorbed into Norse mythology, and they were like, and we'll call the old ones that you no longer believe in the Vanir, and here's ours, like Odin and Thor and stuff like that. So there's a theory that might be it, and that's because there's some connections, like Freyr is likely connected to like Ingve, which is an old German
Malmsteen?
Yeah, Ingve Malmsteen.
Du hast. Du hast Vanir.
I tried to look into like how you would honor a Vanir, or specifically how you would honor one like Freya or something like that, because that's one of the few that is like confirmed as a Vanir. So sacrificial items or offerings. Boar was sacred to the Vanir, and like Freyr and Freya, the two siblings, are often depicted as accompanied by boars. So offers of boar, or on very special occasions, like sacrifice of a horse and possible like consumption of like horse meat on very sort of sacred special occasions might be part of it. Special offerings also would include maybe like gold, honey, things like that. And then I was like, I'm still not getting at the thing I want to get at. So I looked up like Norse human sacrifice, and there are some old German monk accounts from like the 11th century that detail this idea of like every 9 years, 9 males of all kinds of living creatures were offered to Odin and Frey, which is likely Freya, who is also possibly like also Frigga, like Odin's second wife, like Thor's stepmother, Frigga.
I didn't know Tony Shalhoub was really giving out that kind of information.
What?
His monk accounts.
Brutal. But those accounts, they consider that that's actually like Christian propaganda to make the Norse seem like horrifying. To like be like, these like heathens are like sacrificing people, blah, blah, blah. But there is some possible actual evidence of like occasional human sacrifices to Freya in exchange for like
light sacrifice.
Yeah, not like 9 of every animal or something like that. But some offerings to Freya might maybe in exchange for fertility blessings. So that goes both for like human fertility and also like ecological fertility.
Plant fucking?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I found out about the Vanir. But in general, the Vanir is like a very vague, very like not concrete part of Norse mythology. So it's funny that is the thing. So it's selected for this episode.
That is cool. Fun fact. Got some more behind the scenes information. I mean, not really behind the scenes, but it's a fun information about this episode.
Sure.
This is the first odd numbered episode not featuring a ghost.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're sort of drifting into like numerology territory here with just like, let's put coincidences together as fun facts.
I'm just saying number 7.
This is the first episode that came out in a January on a year where there wasn't a presidential election where...
Oh my god, is that right?
It's like when you watch sports too much and they have to put like a bunch of qualifiers on something to make someone sound like they've made an achievement.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first left-handed defenseman in the last 30 years to score 4 goals in the last 3 minutes of a game.
Now, what you gotta see here is that the fact that there's 5 minutes left in the game, and this team's got more points than the other team, but that's really important because you gotta see with the amount of time that's left, would make it challenging to finish the game for the other team to win.
I love that A, you're kind of doing a Madden thing, and B, that like, so not a sporto.
What do you mean? The guy plays the ball, we got to...
Other than the silly voice, I could just see you saying that.
Yeah.
Listen, you hit me earlier, so I'm hitting back. I don't want to be like this. We're brothers.
You just know.
We're brothers. I'd never leave you.
Now you just know you started a prank war.
Ooh, love that.
Okay, that's a spoiler, technically.
Oh no.
So, why don't we start talking about today's episode?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
Let's get into it. Wonder how it's going to start. What's this? A not 22
It doesn't
years
start
ago.
with the, like, what they
This is
witnessed.
the first one.
So is this the first one with, like, a proper cold open and not that thing?
That's right.
Holy shit.
I know.
I just thought we were going to have to live with that.
Forever. It starts to seep into other shows.
That would be so funny. Okay, so we're in Burkittsville, Indiana, apparently 1 year ago, and we're seeing someone, it's nighttime and someone's filling up their car at the gas
Absolutely.
station.
So the first time that we even get the episode title on screen as well, and the first time that we don't get the 22 years later.
Is that true? We haven't seen the episode title on
No.
screen before this?
No.
God, things I just haven't noticed.
Well, why would you, right?
I guess, yeah.
Also, the beginning of this episode lists the city in which place it takes, which is Burkittsville, Indiana.
Right.
The city in Indiana is spelled Burkittsville with 2 T's, but Burkittsville here is spelled with 1 T. But Burkittsville is also the town in the Blair Witch movie, but that Burkittsville was Burkittsville in Maryland with 2 T's.
Right.
So, interesting. Fun fact.
That was Richard's letter corner.
Why we did a number corner, and now I'm in letter corner.
Oh, I like it, yeah.
Color corner's next.
Nice. Well, here's a brown door opening, and...
Well, I'm really just getting all the important details. A newlywed couple is leaving after locals have helped them in Burkittsville when they get lost and have to stop for gas. One of the guys has a tattoo, and the local couple's teenage niece notices as they make their farewells and head out.
Yeah, and they're being so friendly, like crazy, crazy friendly. Like kind of giving them directions, telling them like, here's like your way out of town. Or they're asking for like a hotel or something like that, but they're giving them directions. Very, very sweet, sort of small town.
What a nondescript
family
douchey tattoo that guy has as
just
well.
it's a random tribal one just out of the tattoo artist's book.
It
doesn't mean anything to him.
Weird place, just like the most visible place possible on his forearm. Like. So, on the way to the highway, the car of the couple's cell phone dies, and they notice a nearby house. So they get out of the car to check, and on the way, see an ominous-looking scarecrow suspended from a pole.
And it's a super creepy scare. And also, it's like the scarecrow's not like by the road. They're like walking through an orchard here.
So here's another thing. This is, you'll see apple boxes everywhere and apples all over the ground. It's supposed to be an apple orchard. But apple orchards, apple trees have no all these trees have no central trunk, but have several limbs coming straight out of the ground.
Is that not what an apple?
That's
tree
not an
is?
apple tree. Does not look like that at all. But hazelnut trees routinely have that look to them.
Oh, weird.
And are a major crop in Oregon and British Columbia, where Supernatural is filmed.
Right. I mean, see, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, shows how little I know about that. I wonder if people who are like apple farmers watch this and they were like,
"Oh, I can't.
I'm
out."
Or if they heard about it, that's why the numbers are so low. They lost all of the apple farmers before this episode. They're like, don't even bother watching. They're fucking hazelnut trees.
No, I'm gonna hate watch this.
This scarecrow has like a straight up leather face.
It's one of the most terrifying characters.
Like a scarecrow face is usually just like a bag filled with stuff, but there's a straight up leather face, and then it turns and moves when they're walking away, which is a great shot. A legitimately scary, creepy shot.
He's one of the scariest characters in the entire show.
I would say so.
The male of the couple makes a comment that says, "Check out If I Only Had a Brain," which is a reference to Scarecrow, a character from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Oh, you mean it wasn't a reference to this podcast 5 minutes ago when you said it?
I mean, it was. It's a weird time thing.
It wasn't like a 15-year in advance podcast reference?
So the Scarecrow seems to move as they head into the woods. As they proceed, they hear noises behind them and run to their car.
I do like the idea that we legitimately see the Scarecrow's head move, and then we do not see it chasing them. Like, it kind of gives you a little bit, and then it goes back to that, like, hey, the scariest thing is the thing in your head, you know? Like, and you can do that. It's kind of neat. I appreciate that about this.
So when the couple is startled by the noise of the Scarecrow pursuing them, the camera swings around and catches it, either its own reflection in another camera of the shot or just the other camera itself. But
oh, really? That's very funny.
Yeah. So when the couple turns around after hearing the noise, a car can be seen driving left on the right side of the screen when its rear backlights are visible.
Sorry, what?
So as
like because they're supposed to be alone, but there's just like someone out there, like because it's an actual road that people drive on. Right.
So you can actually see these rear backlights of one of the cars. So the guy disappears, and the woman turns, shouting his name, and stumbles over the corpse of her husband. A shadowy figure closes in on her as she screams.
It's not just his corpse. He's like ripped the fuck open.
They literally tear off his face, which is really disturbing.
Yeah, really, really creepy. And you see someone step out. You see where the Scarecrow was hanging. No one's there. Very creepy. Good opener.
Absolutely. So, now we're in a hotel. Of course, like many of these. See, Scarecrow.
There we are, yeah.
In their hotel.
Love that flip phone.
So Sam's cell phone rings. And who is it? It's Dad.
Right, because the... Oh, there he is.
Talking on the phone. He assures Sam they're okay, but they have to trust him. He can't reveal where he is. He reveals that he's after the thing that killed their mom, a demon.
So, yeah, because I think we gave it a rest for one episode, because we saw John 2 episodes ago at the end of Home.
That's right.
We kind of got a break last week, and now he's here he is actually on the phone, actually talking to them.
He tells them to stop looking for him and to write down a list of names, warning it's not safe. Dean takes the names, which are 3 couples who disappeared over a 3-year period on the same day in April.
Which is funny because he is leaning into the thing that Dean sort of thought that he was doing, which was like, he wants us to just do the regular hunting while he does this very specific, very dangerous mission of finding out what killed Mom.
Yes.
And like hunting this thing.
It's also funny that the story is set in April, but the trees are not in leaf, and in fact, it is clearly an autumn orchard. Dead leaves on the ground, picking baskets, essentially.
Well, yeah, because like there's the ladders and stuff are up. Like you don't go up in the spring and put the apples up and then take them down in the fall.
But also, Sam states that it's been 6 months since Jess died. If it had been 6 months, it wouldn't be the second week of April. It would have been closer to Sam's birthday, the first week of May.
Oh. So right, so we have no idea when this is.
No.
Yeah. I mean, God, that's not the most egregious sort of like time errors in TV, but it is funny when you point them out.
Yeah, absolutely. After heated discussion where Dean insists that they follow their father's order and Sam wants to disobey him and go find him, they start to head out of town, Burkittsville, where the couples disappeared.
There's some very like pained 20s Jared Padalecki acting in this. Just like, clench your jaw, pretend you're angry.
I mean, that's a thing he never really loses, but...
I mean, that's true, but I feel like even if it doesn't change, it feels more natural on an older Sam.
Yes.
There's something like very much like, this is how I learned to look angry in these ones.
Subtle acting.
I love Jared. He's so good in this role, and he's great against Jensen through this whole show. But, I mean, surprising no one, I'm all Jensen. And Jensen is the stronger actor. So some of the issues...
Are you hurt because of that tweet? Are you...
Some of the issues with this season in particular, because they're both so young and it's so obvious and they don't have their own rhythm yet, is that when you have to put things on Sam, like stuff with Dad, all this kind of drama about going hunting this thing, but just got a call, we didn't know he was even alive.
Yeah.
It's I think too much weight to put on Jared's acting at this time.
Well, there's still really...
There's some great Jared moments elsewhere in the show, but not here.
I mean, this also pains from a lot of first season stuff, which is, and before the internet, a lot of these people are watching these shows for the very first time, and maybe are coming in halfway through the season, so they're constantly having to reset this relationship.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's a fair point.
They're constantly going, what if this is someone's first episode? We need to like nail down the fact that like these are their internal issues, and that these two brothers are sort of diametrically like opposite.
So if it felt like we just took like a big break and sort of diverged from what was important, it's because the show did too. Because they are just, the whole time that we've been talking, they've just been arguing about whether or not to listen to their dad. Remember the argument they always have?
Yes. So halfway through Halfway through the journey, Sam decides he's going to California where their dad is. Dean accuses him of being selfish and takes off without him when Sam insists he go. Sam says, "We're going to California." Going to California is a Led Zeppelin song. This foreshadows Dean later using the name of John Bonham in the same episode, the drummer of the Led Zeppelin, when he meets Scotty in town.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also the first episode that John Winchester actively interacts with the boys through Sam and Dean.
Yes.
And doesn't physically see them until future episodes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, classic stuff here. Dean is telling Sam that listening to their dad is being a good son. Yes. Sam is like, stop being mindless. Like, we have to actually, be active agents in this.
Well, I mean, it's really even interesting when they are on that phone call and Sam is forced to give the phone to Dean.
Yeah.
Dean just so quickly turns into, the good soldier.
Yes.
He's just like, "Yes, sir." And he just immediately, he tries to confront him just a little bit, and his dad immediately shuts him down.
Yeah.
And he goes into, the good son soldier mode.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's interesting to see that shift. And then, Dean drives away. Leaves Sam with his backpack in the middle of this scary country road.
Some great focus pulling there.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
There's some great shots in this in general.
It's great. So now we are in Burkittsville again. Dean pulls into Burkittsville and thinks about calling Sam, but decides against it. Dean mentions that he checked in Salem looking for his friends. Salem is the town that Days of Our Lives takes place, co-starring the actor who plays Dean.
That's cute.
Isn't that fun? Look at this phone.
I know.
Serious old tech.
So many contacts.
Well, what's really funny, so it's funny that you mentioned that, actually. So one of the contacts in Dean's phone is Carmelita, a character from the fake porno series Casa Erotica, frequently featured throughout the series later.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this town, this Burkittsville town is very quaint, it's got all these nice sort of molded, whatever you call them. I don't know the architectural words, but all this nice carving and
crown molding and
and all that kind of stuff like that. It's very sort of quaint spot. And right away, you're danger alarm is going. I mean, not only because we watched what happened to the people that came through here before.
It's a classic horror thing, though, as well.
It is. It's such a classic horror
where it's this idyllic town. It's too perfect. I think that, and it's also all the people are very much back the way you came kind of people.
And Dean starts basically posing I'm looking for some friends of mine that passed through here and went missing, about a year ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's asking this random guy in town. The guy's like, "We don't usually get strangers here." He's being very standoffish. And Dean, he's not giving Dean anything. And Dean says, "You got a smile that lights up a room."
Such a funny comment.
Really a real kind of fuck you comment, which is very Dean, very funny.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really get anywhere with this guy.
Scotty.
Yeah.
The man claims that he doesn't recognize the couple that's on the photo. Clearly the couple that was there earlier and that guy engaged with.
Right.
So now we're at the side of the road with Sam, who comes across a young hitchhiker who gets picked up by a guy in a van who refuses to take Sam. Yeah. So this is our first introduction to a character known as Meg.
Yeah. End of discussion for now. She's very uncoolly flirting with. Cool because she's cool.
Yes.
But uncool in that she's not hiding it very well. Very flirty with Sam.
You really think that's flirty?
Oh, yeah. Do you see her eyebrows and stuff going? Yeah, she's flirty. So then at any rate, there's need a ride. And this guy in this creepy windowless white van goes, "Just her." Which is what a fucking red flag.
Who gets in the car with somebody who says that?
Which says Sam is what? She looks very confident here. He says, "You trust shady van guy more than me?" And she says, "Definitely." And they ride off, and Sam is still just on the side of the road. But it's one of those things where that's an interaction Sam remembers, and he's like, "Man, who was that confident lady?"
Well, that rapscallion.
Yeah,
So now we're back in Burkittsville. Dean is not having any luck with the Jorgensens, the couple that the newlyweds met earlier. Yeah. Their niece, Emily, recognizes the newlywed husband in the photo that Dean was showing them. Vince, from the tattoo, and her parents then remember them and say they headed off towards the highway. Such a good, like, this show always does this, which is like these idyllic, like, people who you're like, well, you obviously trust these people.
I mean, the thing that's interesting about that is whether or not there's an actual monster or ghost or things like that. Those towns are legitimately creepy / a little bit evil because they refuse to move on, or they cling to a history that's like through rose-colored glasses or whatever. Like, all of those idyllic towns in America are like built on the massacre of like Native Americans.
100%, yeah. Absolutely.
So like even the idea of a town like that is sinister in some way. So then you add the supernatural stuff, and it really like is creepy.
Mm-hmm. So we're back on the highway with Dean, who's leaving town, but his EMF meter goes off as he's passing the orchard.
Yes, that's right.
This episode takes place in Indiana in April, but when Dean walks through the orchard and finds a scarecrow, the ground is littered with fresh apples. So again, this is not an apple orchard.
Also, does that mean that his EMF reader is always on? Because in other episodes, they pull them out and turn them on.
I know.
But he's driving, it's just on.
It also feels like, well, if Sam's not with him anymore, suddenly he gets a little bit more irresponsible. Leaves it on.
Oh, I see. You're coming up with a good reason for it. I was going to say, we wrote Sam out of the show. Turns out you could just put an EMF reader on the passenger seat. The show still works.
That's really all Sam is. As Dean is investigating spots the Scarecrow holding a sickle, he comments that Scarecrow is fugly. When Dean is looking at the Scarecrow and says, "Dude, you're fugly," you can see the Scarecrow breathing.
Oh.
Which I don't know if that's just the actor and it was a mistake.
Yeah, they weren't rolling.
Yeah.
He didn't think they were rolling. I mean, it's such a creepy, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of look for a Scarecrow. Like, what is he even meant to be made of, right? It's like stitched face, you know? Like, it's not a bag or something like that.
And then on closer inspection, Dean notices that the entire Scarecrow is made of human skin.
Yeah.
And finds that the Scarecrow has a tattoo on its arm that is just like Vincent.
It's that same vague, douchey tribal tattoo that what's-his-face had before.
Ugh.
Very creepy, though. And yeah, I mean, then you start to piece together like, oh shit, it's all skin? Like, that's fucked up. This is a fucked up Scarecrow.
It's such a scary character.
Very.
So we are back in Burkittsville again. Dean pulls back into the town and talks to Emily. She reveals that the Jorgensens are her aunt and uncle, who took her when her parents died, and that the town is seemingly blessed. He also noticed a car belonging to another stranded couple. Before Dean asks Emily to fill up his car, neither of them have had a chance to touch the license plate. Look at that.
There you go.
None of them has touched it, so how does it...
Oh yeah, it was just open, wasn't it?
He was just driving with it. Man, he's really a wreck without Sam.
Yeah, God.
And when she bends down to fuel, the license plate's already flipped down, and all she has to do is unscrew the fuel cap. So.
I love those little things that like make the filming smoother or make the scene smoother, but just don't make any sense. But yeah, she talks about how the town feels blessed because like other towns in the area are struggling.
Yeah.
They're on economic hard times. People are like, the banks are foreclosing and stuff like that, and it doesn't seem to be affecting the town. With these sort of like center of America rural towns, that's often a huge issue with any sort of farming community. It's not an easy sort of life. Yeah. Yeah, so there's this other abandoned car, and Dean asks about it, and she says, like, yeah, it's a couple had car troubles, and Dean's like, another couple, like a guy and a girl? She goes, yeah, and he goes, okay. Because he's building a pattern, right? So now we're at the bus station. Sam has finally got somewhere and is unable to get a bus out of town and meets back up with, who is it? Meg, the female hitchhiker. Somehow not murdered in the back of that creepy white van. So see here, Sam's going through his BlackBerry, which is hilarious that he has that. Love that. Coincidentally, the contact Marianne Liu, found on Sam's phone, shares the same name as its supernatural employed graphic designer from 2007 to 2008. Oh, cute. Fun. It's a thing that they love to do on the show a little bit. I mean, look how Meg is sitting. You tell me she's not flirting with Sam? That's you tell me that's not flirting? That's like the most uncomfortable way to sit. She's posed like it's a Vanity Fair cover. She's like sitting on all of her belongings. Yeah, like not even like comfortably. It's like a weird shaped backpack and stuff. She's Yeah. But she's cool. She's got a cool jacket. She's got like a short pixie haircut. She doesn't care. I'll take a ride with a dangerous driver.
Yeah, that's, as you would.
And she sort of convinces Sam not to hop on a bus to California because she's flirting.
Well, she wants him to.
Or she wants him to, rather. She's trying to convince him. They finally introduce each other with names properly.
This is also... This is where we find the first episode that marks the mention of Dean's love for pie.
Yeah. We cut back to Dean, and he goes into like this place, this diner that is run by the guy that he wasn't getting anything out of before, and there's people eating this like delicious apple pie. Again, this is a very it's like our town, right? This is supposed to be this idyllic American town. So of course it's apple pie.
He didn't double look. He triple looked at that pie.
Yeah. And then again.
Yeah.
Every 4 seconds, Dean is eyeing that pie. Dean has fucked this pie more than he's legitimately fucked in the whole show.
And I mean, it's Dean, so that's So the couple reveals that they had stopped for gas when the local mechanic noticed that their brake line is closed to giving, and he's fixing it for them, and it'll be ready at sundown. Dean claims that he can fix a leaky brake line in an hour. A leaky brake line cannot be patched, and the entire line must be replaced. That would definitely take more than an hour. Even sundown is pushing it a bit, given that they're in a small town with no dealerships or auto part chains around.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, exactly. But again, for the purpose of the show, Dean is the car guy, and it's something that sets off his alarm, even though it's not based in any fact.
No, not at all.
So Dean knows something is up. It's only couples that seem to go missing. It's always people coming through town. It's not people in the town.
Yeah. So he offers to fix their car, and he's getting a little too worried about it, I think, and they're getting uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, he says, it might sound strange, but you are in danger. And then the guy's like, we're trying to eat.
Yeah.
Because Dean overplays it.
Which always Dean does.
Also, they're the only people in this restaurant, so it's just like empty tables.
He sits directly next to them.
And him right next to them being like, your lives are in danger. And they're like, thank you.
Yeah, he gives them this ominous warning. And suddenly Scotty calls the sheriff, who basically is like, let's get outside.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dean doesn't have great luck with law enforcement.
This is all the things that it's this episode really points out, like when he's not with Sam, all of his bad sort of traits start coming out.
Yeah.
All of his bad habits, all of his disdain for public.
The sheriff literally drives him out of town. Like Dean's in the Impala and the sheriff drives with him until he passes the sign for the town and the sheriff turns around. Like he literally runs him out of town.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
So we're back at the bus station. Sam and Meg chat over a meal about her background and her issues with her family.
I mean, is it a meal? I see beers and I see a bag of Funyuns.
That's not a meal?
You're right.
Yeah. So over a lavish dinner, they bond over similar family trouble. I mean, it's so clearly weird how specific she's talking about things that will directly, spark stuff with Sam.
Yes.
It's very much like, a family who doesn't understand me. I just got to go my own way.
Yeah. Family told me to do something, but I just had to, I had to be true to myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Fucking idiot. So, clearly, finally, somebody's speaking my language.
This is the thing. They haven't been burned this much yet. So, he's more trusting than a later Sam would be, I think.
He starts talking shit about his brother, saying that he's got this issue. His brother doesn't understand him. He's like, I've been road tripping with my brother, and he thinks that I should be just with the family. And
yeah.
He's literally, these two are seemingly getting super, super close.
I will say, they got great chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
Jared and whoever this actor is, I'm sorry, don't know the name.
Meg.
Yeah. They've got seriously good chemistry. It works really well. It's flirty, but not too dangerously sexy. It's just it's very
wholesome,
but has the potential for something kind of fiery. It's good. It's got a good balance to it.
So
you cut back to Dean.
Nightfall.
It's not Dean.
No, this is the couple.
Well, you see Dean driving back into town though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you cut to the couple in the orchard, and you see the shadowy figure move, and you're like, well, this couple's gonna bite it.
Yeah. I love how this episode is shot with this villain. They do such a good job.
A lot of handheld.
Which is great, because I think the key, especially with either villains, like monsters that are super, like, that where they just walk like a human, it's scary to make that. Like, if they move fast, that's scary. But if it's just like a guy who's walking, it can be challenging to make that really scary. They do a great job.
The jump scare isn't that they run into the monsters, that they run into Dean with a shotgun, and Dean starts shooting this Scarecrow, who does not stop. You know, like Terminator style, just keeps coming.
He also only shoots it on the shoulder blade, so that also might be an issue. I'm just like, shoot it for the head, man. Like, always go for the head.
That's true, I suppose.
So he opens up to the Scarecrow with the shotgun to no effect, but they safely get back to the car, and the Scarecrow disappears.
Yeah, they're like, what was that? And Dean's like, don't ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're back at the bus station again. There's only really like 3 scenes in this whole.
I was gonna say, like, I guess normally you see them go from one place and then you go investigate another place and you go back to the motel or stuff like that. But because of the way the episode is, it's just a lot of cut back and forth between these like 2 places.
3 places really max, and 2 places are sort of connected to.
But they are actually talking. It's Dean and Sam on the phone.
That's right.
And Dean's like, I can manage without you.
He's like, they conclude that the Scarecrow is a manifestation of a pagan god and takes the couple fattened up by the locals as a fertility sacrifice.
Yes.
This is also the first time that we've had a deity in the show.
Yeah. So they're talking about, this fertility sacrifice, which is why the town is doing well. Like the harvest is good, stuff like that. It's because they are just offering things to this old god. And Sam says, you know what god you're dealing with? He says, you have to figure that out to figure out how to kill it. Dean's going to go interview a professor, and he says, I don't have my trusty sidekick, Geek Boy, to do all the research, which is like a nice way of like, they're not still fighting.
They're
just like, listen, we said some things. We're still doing these things separately, but like, we've got each other's backs. It's a nice moment, actually.
Dean admits Sam has to do his own thing and admires him for standing up to their dad. And I think he almost says, which is like something I wish I could do.
Yeah.
So this is them really like kind of apologizing to each other.
It's sort of, it's like a moment of Dean admitting like a bit of a weakness, a bit of a fault, a thing he's not good at, which is, especially at this point, is pretty good.
It's kind of the first time we've seen it in the show.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal for these two. But don't worry, they'll never fight again.
That's right. It's over after this.
Yep. This is just smooth sailing.
Oh, God. Yeah, this is a much longer scene than I would have thought, though. I would have thought it wouldn't be much longer than our description of it. But, so they get off the phone, and, it's just still Sam and Meg in this, like, bus station.
In the middle of the night.
Which, do they just let you stay in there in the middle of the night, I guess?
Well, depending. If they're ones that sort of, there's bus coming in and out all night.
Right.
Then
it seems like the lights are shut off.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of seems like they're there after hours. But,
crank up the sexiness.
Yeah, nothing's sexier than a bus station.
That's where I get my rocks off. So, now we're with Dean, and he meets with the local professor, William B. Davis.
Yeah.
William B. Davis, who plays the local professor Dean confers with, is best known for portraying the cigarette-smoking man on cult sci-fi series The X-Files.
Oh, he was the smoking man.
Oh
crazy? My God, he totally was. That never clicked for me. So he's talking about sort of what I was mentioning. There are like dozens and hundreds of different Norse gods and stuff like trying to figure out like which pagan god you're talking about. We have narrowed it to Norse somehow. I think maybe it's because of the history of the town or something like that.
The fertility thing, maybe.
Yeah. So then they're looking through pictures. He sees a picture of a scarecrow. Now, that was a thing I couldn't find in actual lore.
Scarecrow?
A tie to a scarecrow sort of
Well,
thing.
even they sort of don't really do that. He goes, this kind of looks like a scarecrow. And he goes, I guess.
Yeah, but they're saying the villages built effigies for Vanir. They practiced human sacrifice, one male, one female. That feels like it's drawing on the idea of that one where you have a sacrifice from each animal. Of course, those monk accounts were like 9 males of each living thing, but it's that idea of being very selective, one of this, one of that. But it fits the pattern that Dean has built with these couples coming through town, going missing, being offed by this scarecrow.
I think that the scarecrow thing comes from sort of the fact that, like, what an effigy is, and sort of combining the god with an effigy at the same time, because effigies typically look kind of like scarecrows, because especially when you're having ones that you're burning.
No, it's true, but it's funny because even the effigy thing only kind of comes up. It's definitely, this is a thing where the show is making a little bit more of an effort. Dean opens the door after talking to the professor and gets butted with a rifle or a shotgun. Sorry,
so when
by the sheriff.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can actually, one of the cameras can be seen slightly when the door is opened.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're back in Burkittsville. The townsfolk are discussing what to do with Dean and how the Vanir is angry with them and the sacrifice must be made. The scene in which the townspeople stand underneath umbrellas discussing the necessity of a sacrifice pays homage to the X-Files episode Die Hand, Die Wurzel, which has the similar plot. Kim Manners and John Chabon, director and teleplay writer for this episode, also both worked extensively on the X-Files.
Oh, there you go. I mean, it's a very like that Hot Fuzz thing, right?
Yeah.
The way to keep this town nice. Yeah. Like, we will get our hands dirty to keep our town nice.
Absolutely. It becomes clear that the Jorgensens are going to use Emily, the niece, for the female sacrifice.
Because it has to be pairs, right? They only have Dean. They know they have to get rid of Dean. So yeah, now they're like...
Well, the uncle's like, I get why we have to use the guy, like the boy.
Why does it have to be her, though? And it's basically just like, she's uncoupled, or like, not your real daughter and stuff like that. So they keep them in this cellar before they can take them out at night to the orchard. But it's pretty messed up. So now Emily... I can't remember. Was Emily in on it the whole time or not? Is it just like the sort of
She has no idea. That's why
it's just the town elders, right? It's the Jorgensens, it's the sheriff, it's the professor,
That's why she gives away the tattoo thing, which she shouldn't have, because they were playing dumb until she's like, oh no, I remember that. And they're like, oh,
that's
yeah.
right. That's right.
So we're back at the bus station. The bus arrives and Sam decides to go to Burkittsville when he can't get a hold of Dean. Meg tries to get him to come with her, but he refuses and heads off.
Yeah. Because, Sam's loyalty,
Well,
he doesn't want something to
everything
happen.
Else,
he doesn't want something to happen to Dean. He recognizes that even though he does have to do his own thing, he maybe made the wrong choice of just leaving Dean on his own to go hunting.
Yeah, exactly, right?
He doesn't want that on his conscience.
And Meg's sort of guilting him, being like, you're going back to the person that you, like, you're doing the thing that I'm not doing, which is like staying away from your family. Why? Like you said you were running away from your brother. Why you went back to him?
Yeah,
sort of trying to guilt him into staying, but that's not going to work because it's all about family.
Family.
Yeah, it's both.
But yeah, Sam is resolute, and
I am family.
Yeah. Meg is just watches him leave, basically.
That's right. So we're back in Burkittsville again, and a panicked Emily has been ignorant thus far to what's been going on. Dean figures out that they have to destroy the old tree the Vanir is tied to.
Right. Yeah. So that was part of his conversation with the professor. Was that like the people that settled the town brought this tree from the old country? I think that's also how they narrowed down to Norse and stuff like that. Is that they bring this tree from the old country, which is somewhere in Scandinavia. And so the easy assumption is that is how the Vanir came over here.
Yeah.
So that it's tied to this particular old tree. And so Dean is trying to figure out where the tree is in this orchard. And she's like, I don't know. I have no idea. And that's about when the townsfolk come to, they're like, it's sacrifice time.
Yeah. The only tree that's not a fucking hazelnut tree and like a bunch of tiny trees stuck.
Yeah, look for the tree that looks like it's thousands of years old.
Just a guess. Maybe the one that's a gigantic trunk and the other ones don't have that.
Yeah, so they're tying them up, and Dean says to the sheriff, like, how much blood is on your hands? The sheriff's like, we didn't kill him. And she's like, come on. Like
such like a barely...
It's like, that's no good. This Jorgensen guy is very... very distraught that they have to sacrifice Emily, but it's sure not stopping him.
Aunt Stacy tells Emily the good outweighs the good of the one. The good of the many outweighs the good of the one.
Yeah.
She's paraphrasing Spock's dying words from the classic sci-fi movie Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
1982.
Yeah. Spock's line is like the good of the many outweighs the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if she like threw up a live long and prosper.
Oh my God.
Like, live long and prosper.
Bitch.
Yeah. They're a snarky Star Trek fan.
Live short and die. Just hilarious. This really looks like, how the hell is Dean going to get out of this one?
Yeah, because, we know Sam is on his way, but we don't
How
really
far?
have a good concept of how far away he is.
He's
or
been
how
hitchhiking this whole time.
how easy it is to get there, or all that kind of stuff.
How is he going to hitchhike all the way back there to that exact spot?
Yeah, maybe he's got to wait for that guy with the van.
He puts on like some like low cut clothing and
Yeah.
rolls up his
Before he leaves the
legs.
bus station, he's like, Meg, I need to borrow your clothes.
So, come sunset, they're sort of trying to figure out what they're actually going to do.
Yeah.
And Dean's going like, can you see the Scarecrow? Like, has it moved yet?
Yeah, because they're sort of not exactly in its island. It's not like they're facing it or something like
No, but they
Hey, guess who showed?
show you like they have like a moment where it's like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like there's some and Emily starts freaking out because she sees somebody coming, but
Yeah.
but they tricked you. It's Sam. The Scarecrow has already disappeared when Sam shows up, though. Which is, we also find out Sam stole a car to get there.
Yeah.
Dean's like, my boy.
Bit of a bad boy. But yeah, they say like, Dean says like, watch for the Scarecrow, he could come alive. And Sam's like, what Scarecrow? And you're like, fuck.
The three of them run through the orchard planning to come back in the morning so that they can torch the tree.
Yeah.
But just as they get to the end of the orchard, the locals intercept them with fucking shotguns.
Oh, even Dean calls him Leatherface. Yeah.
They're completely surrounded by
Yeah,
all
this
the
is a very
elements.
like Hot Fuzz kind of vibe.
Like one way or another, this is gonna happen.
All these townsfolk who are like, we need our gardens to be nice.
Emily begs her aunt and uncle to let them go. But they're basically like, it'll be over. You just have to, like, it's for the good of
I know
the
that they're
town.
the ones doing the sacrifices. The Vanir probably knows that, but like, this must be just as risky for them.
Oh, yeah.
It's the thought that I had right before.
Yeah.
The Scarecrow shows up and starts, like, he kills the first Jorgensen, takes the ant. Like, the Vanir doesn't give a shit.
No, it's like, look, I want couples, but I'm also just going to kill everybody.
But it does take a couple, because it takes the ants there,
Yes.
too, right? But, like, the Vanir has no allegiance to them. Although, I mean, maybe strategically it makes sense not to attack the people offering sacrifices to you, but, like, ultimately does not care.
But also, the people have been fucking around. They even say earlier, they're like, the farms are already starting to get sick. Like,
But yeah, so that scares off the rest of the townsfolk. Dean and Sam and Emily are able to escape. They come back in the daylight. They're going to burn the shit out of this tree. Which is you're right, very clearly an old world tree. It's got like runes in it and stuff like that. Like, it couldn't be more obvious that is not a tree from here.
it also just looks like it was laid inside of one of those hazelnut trees.
Yeah, it does a little bit, actually.
So Emily insists on setting fire to it herself because she was the one betrayed by her family.
Oh, yeah, totally. And like,
She's earned it.
and fuck this town, like, that's messed up.
I love it. So good.
Oh,
Fucking take your time. Jesus.
yeah.
And with that, the fires burn away the god. Great shot. I love that.
And you know what?
Such
Like,
a good shot.
it's unlike other episodes. We don't see the god burn up. We don't see,
No.
we don't hear like a
A
or
weird
something.
portal thing sucking.
It's just them like watching a tree burn, but they know that the work is done. It's actually it's nice how, like, because they don't successfully fight this monster, right? At all. It gets away with the aunt and uncle. They get away by accident.
Yeah.
They, like, Dean kind of shoots it a bit to get away that first time, but really, like, they don't fight it. They don't beat it in combat. They don't burn the tree and watch it explode. It's a very much like it was beyond them. They kind of got lucky. Well, there's something kind of neat about how the episode's constructed that way.
Well, even Sam says, like, the town is just going to get away with this then? And he's like, Dean's like, what's going to happen to this town is going to be punishment enough. Which, I mean, I don't agree with, but...
Yeah. I mean, the idea that, like, now without this thing offering fertility, they will be hit with the same economic and whatever agricultural hardships as the other towns.
Is that really as...
And you know what? That's why when you get brought up on first-degree murder charges, the judge says, I hope that the soil fucks up on your property.
And I go, not that.
Adjourned.
Not that. No. No. Just hang me. It's better.
I won't do anything specific to it, but, like, fingers crossed.
No, kill my family, please.
Not my soil.
Yeah, anything but my soil. Look, I've got this brand new child. Take this. Not the soil. A child has got, like, what, 50 years with me? A soil's forever.
Yeah, soil is forever. That's my least favorite James Bond movie.
I think that's the worst diamond commercial I've ever seen.
Soil is forever. Yeah. That's when you, like, shit your pants so bad that you can't wash them.
Soiling's forever. So we're back at we're at the bus station. Emily takes off on the bus, and Dean and Sam decide they're going to stay together because they're better together.
Because they're brothers.
They're happy and they're singing.
Yeah. Weird ending.
Yeah. I don't really get it, but that's the way they are.
Yeah, Sam says we're all that's left, so you know we have to stick together. We might not
lost his.
We might not get
right?
along. We might like disagree on stuff, but we have to do this together. Which is, I mean. That's at the heart of the whole
Dean
show.
Goes, hold me, Sam.
So funny. He ruins every nice moment. I really love that.
Yeah. The first season Dean really can't help. Like,
no, he's like, emotions. Ugh, yuck.
Yeah. It's a very 2006 20-year-old.
Yeah, it is.
So now we're at the back of the side of the road in a similar van to the one that initially picked
a black
up.
van with something weird spray painted on it.
And the guy's like, so what are we doing here?
Yeah, where to, pretty lady? She says, how about we pull over? You're like, oh, is Meg just into this?
Yeah, maybe this is why she wanted to get with that guy alone.
Like, all right, fair enough.
Have your thing.
Self-empowered. He just pulls over this van. What is painted on it? It's like a Three Wolf Moon situation painted on the side of this black van.
I mean, I'd love to have that van.
And this guy is like, man, I can't believe my luck.
He's such a creep.
He looks so disgusting. She pulls out this like bowl, this silver bowl covered in faces.
Yeah.
And she says, I gotta make a call. And she...
With fangled new cell phones.
Yeah, she cuts this guy's throat and
brutally
fills the bowl with blood. It's like stone-faced. She's not hesitant at all. She's kind of smiling.
Like, she's into it.
She says, thanks for the ride, which is a great line. And then she holds the cup and like, that's what she's using to like make a call. She's like doing an incantation and like kind of putting her finger around the rim, not unlike how you would do with like playing glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's saying like, I could have stopped Sam. I could have taken them both. Why let them go? So like, she's reporting to someone. Yeah. There's supernatural stuff happening because the blood inside is... I mean, not only is she talking to it, but, like, it's moving and stuff. Very creepy shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she says, yes, father.
Which is just like, what the hell does that mean?
So scary. And I think, really, other than, like, the John showing up at the end of Home thing, it's one of our first kind of cliffhangery, like...
Yeah.
Like, things that are not just contained to one episode. Meg is...
But, like, a villain thing.
Yeah, Meg is the first thing where it's like, oh, this isn't done. Like, there's more of this.
And is this connected to what's been happening with the father?
Well, because she's talking about both brothers.
Yeah.
She's reporting to someone else. We already know John has told them to, like, stay out. Like, even just as a viewer, none of this is spoiler territory. You're kind of like, what is connected here? Which of these pieces is connected to what?
Is this a part what's, like, the bigger story, or is this a whole separate thing? We don't know.
Yeah. So, really... cool that way too, and maybe it fits with this episode because the monster itself is not a big one they like fought, and then you kind of cut over here and you're like, it's maybe best that they didn't because they got to save their strength. Something else is coming, and they don't know it yet either.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Very creepy.
Well, that's the end of this episode.
Man, loved it.
This is one of my favorite episodes, I think.
I really like this episode.
I mean, even when you were first going through it, I kept asking if you had gotten to the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
episode.
this was one that you wanted me to see. And I loved it then. I like it on the rewatch. I think I remembered it being maybe a little bit less like what I described, a little bit more epic of like them versus the Scarecrow. But I kind of like that it's sort of... It's different. It's not. They don't have to wrestle. What's a fucking like god? You know.
What's scarier, I think, is the town.
Yes, I mean yes, and we've talked about it a little bit. It comes up again. The idea that like sometimes people are because even last week the asylum. Yeah, the asylum itself became haunted, but it started with legitimate horrors by people perpetrated on other people, and like people are their own monsters, and I think this episode also leans into that
like
too.
To put up a biohazard sticker when the building's not even open anymore. I mean, nefarious ideas that come with that.
Or like go back even further. Imagine going into someone's place of business. someone that specializes in
one product.
Fragile reflective surfaces and just smashing all of them. Could you imagine?
God, people are monsters. Yeah,
But really, I mean, like, for what in this town? Like, maybe, it kept some jobs or it kept a little bit, but it's not like this town, it's not like these people were, like, getting rich or whatever. They were, like, sacrificing dozens of people for what? For, like, some fucking apples?
Yeah.
And, like, nice paint on the building? Like, it's so petty. Yeah. And that's the most evil part about it. It's crazy, yeah.
So what are you giving for a review?
Okay, so based on everything that we just said, I think it is a great, terrifying looking monster. I like incorporating some new kind of monster lore. Like you said, we're talking about a deity. Yeah. We're talking about the Norse pantheon. So we're saying like, okay, that's fair game, which is kind of opening up a new window in the show. I like the introduction of Meg. She's got a lot of good scenes and some great chemistry with Sam. And obviously that cliffhanger thing at the end is really great.
I hope she shows up again.
So I'm going to give this... I think I'm going to give this one 4.5 shitty tribal tattoos. Oh. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm fairly much on the same page. This episode, this monster always really scared me. Yeah. I love the idea that you're now connecting to deities, which means that if this one deity exists, how many more of these sort of like gods, demigods, other things exist? This opens up a whole new level of potential monsters. Now we've had demons are part of this, which sort of made you go, well, what types are what other things involving demons and gods are involving? Now you're getting deities. Like they're really starting to open up already of what the sort of breadth of monsters could be every week. So I love that piece of it. I think it's a really tight story. Yeah. Like, there's not a lot of holes in it. Even though you're separating the brothers, you're still only really getting like 3 different setups in this whole thing.
That's true.
It's the orchard, the town, and the bus station.
Yeah.
And there's not
nice
much
nice and simple. Yeah.
Super simple. Really great character development you get. I mean, you're not really growing the characters much in this one, but I think that you're seeing what they are without each other.
Yes.
Sort of Sam being the moral compass and Dean being all of the action. I think that they are stronger together. Yeah. Sam without Dean is sort of just alone and like without a direction. Yeah. And Dean without Sam has gotten no specific purpose and no compass to guide him. So
yeah, that's right.
I feel like both of them are directionless without each other. So for me, from that standpoint, I think it just strengthens the relationship between the brothers even further. I like some really great day players within this one. Getting Smoking Man in there, the couple.
I can't believe I didn't realize that that's who that was.
Isn't that nuts?
That's the biggest reveal since Bulldog as the preacher in that one episode.
That's still the craziest one. I still can't believe that. I will give this one, I think, as well, 4.5 tattooed skin suits.
Nice. Love that. I think that's one of our most highly ranked. So far, I think that puts it up with Home and Wendigo.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Good stuff.
Well, that's it for this week. If you have a note about maybe this or a future episode, or you just want to say hi and talk about Supernatural with us, you can send us an email at
ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
And, of course, you can find us on all social medias.
That's right. At GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.